All right, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm doing a tour of the truck. Finally, a few people have been asking like in detail about the truck, so I figure I'd kind of tour it, let you know what I'm driving out there, what I rely on to get me back. But anyway, the truck is a 1996 Toyota Tacoma. It's the extended cab version, which is, it's got no extra door. It's just got the space behind the seat. You know, your two regular seats in the front, and it's got little jump seats. One of the boys sits back there. It's not much room. That's why I only take one of the boys at a time anymore. The history of this truck, I bought the truck in, I believe, possibly, I started shopping in 2004. I might have purchased it in 2005. I was the third owner on it. At the time I bought it, the truck had about 125,000 miles on it. All freeway miles. Fifth gear was worn out. The truck has been in a number of accidents. It's been rear-ended twice. So this is the third bed. It's had two sets of stock leaf springs already broken. I'm on the third set. This is an aftermarket set. The front part was crunched. This whole thing was crunched with the original bumper. When it had the regular bumper, that was gone. Let somebody borrow it and they rear-ended a bus with it. So it got crunched here in the front. The grille is no longer original. The fender got replaced, and I don't recall the hood. I think the hood survived. I was in town at the time it happened. I was gone for like 3 months on travel, so I really don't know the details. It got crunched and it got fixed by the time I got back. The fix job wasn't super great, but you know, it is what it is. It was a truck. I'll post a picture here of what it looked like when I first bought it. It came with 15-inch wheels. It had 31-inch tires on it. They sucked on the highway. I got rid of those, and because I did mostly highway driving, I got the tall highway tires like I have here. These were the tires I normally used to drive on. Now I drive on the 31s. So there's my 31s that I normally run on. They're Falcons. They're on 16-inch rims. And I'm gonna go back to those when I wear out these street ones. I do have, if I do some crazy off-road, I will just put them back on. But anyway, the truck's built for the 31s now. It is the engine is the 3.4 liter V6, fuel injected, has a 5-speed stick on it. Obviously 4-wheel drive. It now has one locking hub manually, and one of the automatic unit on the front. That's why some of you may have noticed there's no locking hub on the passenger side. It's just Mr. Smiley, and the left side has the hub. The automatic hub is a fork. It's a shift fork that's vacuum actuated, and I bypassed the wiring for that so I can manually control it. I can get two-wheel drive low, which is nice in tight corners because it steers really well when it's in two-wheel drive. I like the low range because I don't have to burn up the clutch. And I can kind of show you the gear shifter and things while I'm in here. So you got that automatic unit that shifts is activated by this 4x4 switch. So when I'm over here, when I'm in 4 high or 4 low, that enables this switch to cut in and cut out the front axle using the automatic actuator. Then over here on the shifter also, this is the rear differential lock right there. And these are the winch switches. So this is the rear winch, in and out, and front, in and out while I'm here. So also on inside the cab, kind of we'll do inside the cab here. I got all these control switches. These guys are just signal switches. So I got left camping light, right camping light. Those are the ones up here on the tough box. You can see it there. Can turn one on. See it? So that's the left camping light, right camping light, the LEDs, and the halogens. So the LEDs is the light bar. It's a 42-inch Harbor Freight light bar. And actually I can turn them on. So that's the left, right camping light and LED. Helps if I turn the headlights on and high beams. So you can see that I got these at an angle, as I can see a little bit around the corner when I come around. I added this. It was actually off my boat that I used to have. I added that as just more power in the front. I had the light. What was I gonna do with it? So I put it on the truck. Also, I have a circuitry wired. When the LED high beams are on, my regular halogens go off. So I don't like mixing the yellow light with the white light. It kind of draws your eyes like really weird. So it's so when I have the LEDs enabled and I go to low beam, or when I go to high beam, the regular headlights high beams actually turn off. So it's pure LED in the front, and it's all controlled just by my my little high and low beam. So if I flick it, it comes on. I'll so it's halogen all and LED all when I'm in the off-road. These guys here, same thing. These are the big halogens. These two, I mainly use those on the highway because they're the true pencil beams. They're like, don't spread out at all. And they're good for the long, dark desert highways in the middle of the night. They work great for that because they just point out, unlike the LED, which is really not good for on-road use. You could get a ticket. I mean, you can get a ticket with these other ones too, but they're more manageable because they're straight and they see really far like a freight train. That's what I use those with. So these, normally you'll see these covered when I'm out rolling. But that's for the headlights. In the back, I have a reverse switch that overrides my transmission reverse switch, so I can force the backup lights on. I added backup lights. Want to see a little better backing up in the off-road. Kind of helps the camera too. This is a generic backup camera. It's one of those $21 Amazon Chinese deals, but that's for the lighting, and all the lighting is off the key. So when I pull the key out, everything turns off so I don't, drain the battery and such. These here, that's the winch master on. That enables all of the winch buttons. So if I turn it on, I get a little indicator light on the shifter like that, saying that the circuit is on, which allows me to use the buttons on the shifter. I also have a button over here. So this guy is out and in. Over here if I need to wind it up. I also have one in the back. The front winch is they're both Harbor Freight. The front one is a 9,000 pound. It's got the original steel cable on it. It's got the original rollers. Up in here is the release lever. I can just reach under the bumper and flip the lever to release it. So 9,000 pound Harbor Freight. I think it's the Badlands or whatever they call it. The rear winch is also Harbor Freight. It is a 5,000 pound UTV winch. It's meant for a smaller vehicle, but I put it in there because I could actually shoehorn it behind a bumper. It sits, it's kind of hard to see. Winch is on top of the hitch receiver, on top of the bar. You can kind of see it here, like right there. But it punches through the bumper. I put the rollers over here. So still got the original steel cable with the rollers that came with it. I had to offset a little bit because there's a spar is right here. And then I have another button here that goes back and forth. So that's for the two winches. Oh, and I do have the that's what the little blue wire is. That's actually the antenna. I finally went wireless on the winches. So I have a F for front, rear for R for rear, and you just kind of power it on till this little light comes on. I can't really see it, but you push the button. So that's for the rear. And the front one, same thing. You power it on, and then there's the front one. So that's how the winches work. I carry this chain here is mainly to build a bridle out of when you're trying to drag something. That's actually for this truck because I don't trust the mounts on this bumper. These bumpers are designed to be like crash friendly. They have like soft points on them. I don't want to yank on the actual bumper. The winch is one thing, but if you're like yanking, this is a different story. So this chain actually builds a bridle around the lower A-arms, and then you can put the Yankum rope on that. For the Yankum rope, I carry a 30-footer. This one is not an actual Yankum rope. I didn't have the $300 some, so I got the $80 one. It does work. I've used it. They are American made, all of them. For the recovery equipment, I like to have stuff that I can put a lot of tension on. Got a couple of soft shackles over here. There's one here, one there. I carry two snatch blocks. Gotta know one's under the hood. And yeah, I know it biodegrades, but in the sun. But my truck is garaged like all the time, so it's not something that I'm concerned about. Anyway, the other thing is got a bunch of antennas. So I have a CB. This is old school CB. It's mounted on the front bumper. Has a couple of purposes. One, it's down low, it doesn't whack the trees and break off. Two, I know where the corner of the truck is when I'm driving. It's kind of a good reference point. This one is FRS, or general, and it's not the general public radio. The one you got to have a license for, but it's not a thing. I am licensed. I actually do have a call sign. So this one's the 450, 60 megahertz. The one up there is a ham radio. That's a VHF 2 meters. And the radios are in here. So you got your ham radio is this guy here. And then the GMRS is this guy. I got a Midland. I shoehorned it where the ashtray used to be. And then that's the CB. It's just one of those Mr. Potato Head radios. It works well. That's it. I got an XM radio, so I can like listen to the news or music when I'm out there. Mostly the news, kind of see what's falling apart in the world. But yeah, it's an older radio, but I still activated. So those are the radios. I also carry 2 walkie-talkies. They're the generic dual band Biofangs, UHF, VHF radios. I bought the longer antennas for them so they can get more range out of it. But that's it. I'm going to open the hood real quick. I want to show you, because these switches here are just signal switches, as you can see. These are spares. I never added anything. This one's the force to reverse lights and camera. This is the winch enable switch and the 4 lights. This guy here is, so the truck has 2 sets of batteries. It has 2 camping batteries. So there's 2 camping batteries in the back that are used for, there's one over here. You can see it, it's just behind the cab. It's bolted in, it's on an actual mount. And there's another one on the other side. They're the Series 27. There's one right here. They're the Series 27 Costco boat RV batteries type of a deal. So they all meet up, all the power meets up here. I have the regular starter battery that comes with the truck. Got all the circuit breakers for the winches and the rear power that goes to the back of the truck. This guy's a solenoid. I know a lot of people use like those charge isolators things for dual batteries. They're cool and all, but I need a battle switch. I need stuff to actually work. So this is a starter solenoid. This guy connects the rear batteries to the front. That's all it does. It's off the key. There is, as you saw here, there's a little jump button. So this guy, the charge, means it closes the solenoid when I'm driving and it charges the rear batteries, which is almost always on when I'm driving. This jump start button, that's a momentary close between the 2 sets of batteries. So if my battery under the hood dies, like this one here, if this dies and I can't start it in the off-road, I hold down the jump button and I start the truck off the rear batteries if I need to. But that's what that does. So over here is all the brains behind those little switches. I'm not going to open it up, but there's about 1, 2, 3, there's 12 plus 4, I think. So there's 16 relays in here, and all the heavy power comes in over here. So you got bus A, which is the truck battery, bus B, which is the camping batteries and the ground. And then those little switches, they come over these control wires. So these are like a 10 conductor cable. So they're just 24 gauge control wires. That way, with all the switches in the dash, I don't have those gigantic like 10 gauge wires running through the dash, because that's a lot of wire in there that just ain't gonna fit. It's gonna be busy, crazy. So those are just signal wires. They come here, activate the relays. There's a couple of bus bars in here, fuse blocks. I think I'll put a picture here when I built the thing. Kind of get the idea of what's in there. While I'm under the hood, I carry a set of welding cables. I can see that it's a stick welder. Those can be hooked up to the batteries. The batteries can be reconfigured in series. So I get about, I can get 24 volts to weld with. It does work. I've proven the concept. Got a little siphon hose I carry right here. Here's one of the snatch blocks. I carry 2 of these. So these are good to have for recovery. While the hood's open, it got about 2 years ago is when I finally painted the truck and made it more off-road friendly and reliable. I did a lot of, most of the work was just replacement, worn out parts. One of the things it's got a radiator. This is a Taiwanese radiator with a Taiwanese little cap. This was from AutoZone. It was $170. The old radiator was completely messed up. It actually had an imprint of the propeller from when it got crashed into that bus. So it got a new radiator. It has a, I did a timing belt kit on it. Replaced every piece of hose on the truck, except for the brake lines. Haven't got to those yet. That's not a showstopper, right? And the upgrade on the electrical, I went from the 70 amp stock alternator. I upgraded to an aftermarket 140. They claim it's a 140. I've never seen more than 100 out of it, but it's better than the 70 it had. It actually does what I needed to do. The 70 was not quite enough. On the days you need to charge the batteries from camping and run the air conditioning, it struggled. It wasn't charging the batteries. I had turned the AC off. So with this alternator, it's got an actual small pulley on it, so it turns faster at idle, but it's all the same physical size. I doubled up on the grounds. I got bigger cables going to it, but it's supposed to be 140, I'm guessing. I don't know, maybe in a lab, but the most I've seen out of it is 100 amps. But that's it under the hood. And the spare water pump. I carry the old water pump. I also carry all the spare timing belt parts, the timing belt pulleys. This is a non-interference motor, so if you drop the timing belt, you're still okay. You're not putting the pistons into the valves. Inside the truck has a backup camera. It also has a front camera. I'll show you that. That's right here, right under the winch. That comes in handy when you're like cresting a hill on the trail and you can't see if somebody's coming. It's very handy for that, or if you want to line up for something. That goes to this monitor. All I did is I unscrewed the original rear view mirror. I screwed in this little aftermarket monitor. I also have extra ports. I can unplug one of those, and I have a little magnetic camera on a long wire. I can, if I'm by myself, I can move it and put it in a spot where I can use it on that monitor if I ever need to. Once again, everything's off the key. So there's the front view that looks at the front of the truck. I can manually switch it. I don't have enough voltage to power on that rear camera. I gotta wait for it. So there's the rear camera. It's got the sun, but that helps me back up. I can, if it's in the off mode and I put it in reverse, it'll come on by itself now that I have the good backup switch. So that's it. And if I take it out of reverse, it turns off. If I have the monitor on, I'm usually driving with it looking forward, and then when I do go into a backup with the shifter, it'll auto switch to the rear, and then when I come out of reverse, it'll go back to the front. I normally keep it off. On the highway, I keep it off because it's annoying to have that in your face there. The stereo I upgraded. I got an Alpine. I got some Boss speakers or KYBs. I don't remember what it was. It sounds better in the truck. Used to have a sub, but it took up too much space, so I got rid of it. Also down here, while we're here, I got USB chargers. One of these, this is bus A, the truck's battery. This is bus B, the camping batteries. This is the rear air ride. So I have left and right control, so I can lean the truck. These are solenoids that open the valves to the bags. I can only turn on one and add air like that. It's not on right now, but needs a key. So I can add to that bag, or I can run both bags at the same time. On the highway, I keep them turned off because if the solenoids are on, the air cross bleeds from left to right, and it allows the truck to lean too much. So if you lock the solenoids and prevent the air from going back and forth, it acts kind of like a sway bar because it plugs the air from traveling left to right on the truck. So it's pretty handy for that. It's got a lot of good features, being able to control left to right. Also, while I'm in here, there's a little camping switch. This one, if I flip it up, it allows me to run the XM radio and the side camping lights without the key being in the ignition, which is kind of a plus. You can run the lights in that radio. And then I just unplug it out of the stereo, and I have a little, like a Bose. My wife got me one of those Bluetooth speaker. So I got one of these. It's got a line input, so I will plug the XM radio into this Bluetooth speaker. I can listen to music or the news up in the tent. All my water bottles handy, and under the seat, as far as I carry the old alternator in case this one blows out. I have a spare alternator. I do carry a spare starter. I replaced the starter with a remanufactured Denso, and I put the old one under the seat or in one of the cubbies here. So in case I crap out with a bad starter, I can swap it out. It's a easy trail swap on the starter on one of these. And spare parts, I got like ignition module. I think the only thing I don't have is like a computer. I have all the little doohickeys and sensors, cranks, spare crank sensor, cam sensor, ignition module, spare plug, spare coil, a plug wire, kind of everything that could fail I have a spare of, but I try not to go too overboard. I just need to kind of, limp it out of the dirt to the pavement where a tow truck could pick it up. I do have AAA. As a mechanic, I recommend having AAA because I like the peace of mind. If my thing craps out, I can pick up the phone and call somebody and not have to worry about how much it's going to cost. I pay for the premium service. It's worth its weight in gold, even if you fix your own stuff, man, it's like you never break down in the most convenient time or place. And I always like being able to call somebody. So that's one thing I do recommend is AAA, having it. But that's it kind of for the function. The front, is it's a Eaton, or like a True Track limited slip. It's mechanical. It works really well. It works great in the mud and in the sand. It will grip pretty good if you ride your brake. I've had it save me a couple times, but definitely a night and day difference. It helps in the sand and in the mud. I will stand by that. The rear is the original Toyota E-Locker axle. The axle itself is off of a 2000 two-wheel drive Tacoma, like a pre-runner. I got it out of the junkyard a while back. It's got one of those electric units up there, the little servo. That's what that diff lock switch is on my shifter. It's right there, conveniently located when I'm driving. It's I don't have any of the safety circuitry hooked up. I wired it up myself, so it will come on when I'm on the freeway if I do flip the switch. The stock version, it had the button. I think the original button, it used to go here. If you had a differential lock, it went here, and I don't have that. I have just a little switch, but I did utilize the original light, which is kind of cool. Let me get this fired up real quick, see if I can demonstrate it. So over here is the 4x4 light, which when I flip this switch, it's on now, so it's enabled, but the light's not on because I need to roll back or forth for it to lock in, like right there. See it? That's the 4x4 light. I can turn it off with the switch, this right here. So now it's off. When I flip the switch, now it'll come on when I roll, right there, which means the spline lines up. And then the lock switch, it actuates the thing. So now it's enabled, and I need to actually roll the truck for that to lock. You see the diff lock. You also hear the click in the rear axle when I do move. Same thing. So now the differential lock is enabled. When I turn it off, push the switch down, I need to roll again for that to unbind, and you hear the light goes off, and I don't know if you heard the click in the axle. It disables. So that's the differential lock. Now to the air system. So there's two airbags in the back. You can see it right there. One on each side. There are two air compressors and two air tanks. The two air tanks, one is mounted here just behind the rear wheel. This was an old spigot I had. That's all. I don't use that anymore. It's just full of mud. It never plugs because it's like full of debris. The other second tank was added here on this side. The two pumps are on top of the trailer hitch behind the bumper. You can see the one head right there. There's the second. Those are via air pumps. One of them is a 350 and one of them I believe is a 400 or a 450. I don't remember anymore, but they run together. They're triggered off the front. I also ran a bunch of air hose throughout the truck, so I have fittings. So I have a gauge back here. It tells me how much pressure is in there, and I got the quick release. All the interconnect on the truck is used with plastic tubing. It's the same stuff they use for air brakes on big rigs. So it's pretty reliable. It's just push in and then push the little clip to release. It can be field repaired. So a lot of the plastic tubing underneath this truck. So there's one in the back, and I have another one in the front. So I got a gauge in the front, another little doofer here for the air. This one is the jump start. I have a set of I think they're 20 feet, 20 something feet cables. One end is the big alligator clips like you would hook onto the dead car, and then the other end just has the quick plug. I'm not going to pull it out, it's because it's buried underneath one of the jump seats. But it's fairly long. I can actually pull up behind the car, and then the cables will reach around the front of the other car and hook on. That's how long they are. So that comes in really handy. That's it for that. It has a 17-gallon tank, 17 gallon tank. After I bottomed out the truck and dented it, the gauge actually reads all the way. The truck runs out when the gauge is on empty, and I have about 3 gallons above the full mark, which is nice because I actually know when I'm going to run out. So there's 17 usable gallons in the tank before it runs out. I've tested it. I carry 2 jerry cans up here. These are 5 gallons each. They're normally not full. I don't fill them up unless I really need the extra gas on a trip. Don't want to haul the weight. Then I just pull those off and then just pour them in. I thought about doing like a round tank up here where I could just drain it into the tank, but really I don't hardly ever need the extra gas, and I like having the cans because I can remove them and I can put more tough boxes up there. It's for storage. These are Pelican tough cases. They were off of my travels in the past that I did. They were left over. I had 2 identical ones that happened to fit. I bolted them on. All this is bolted on to a $150 lumber rack from Craigslist that was meant for a extra cab truck, or almost like a single cab. You can see it. It doesn't run all the way out, so this could have been used on a regular cab. This is a 6-foot bed. This bed has seen better days. Like I said, this is the 3rd bed on the truck, and the lumber rack works good. I welded some cross members which hold the cans, and they also hold the toolboxes, and then the light bar. There's the power cables that go up. These are for the 1500 watt inverter, which powers your AC accessories. And usually that's a space heater. I can run that on a thermostat throughout the night if it's like super chilly. It works well for that. Then on the other side is all the wires going to the lights. Those are on a quick disconnect. So when I want to pull the lumber rack off, that comes through here, and then there's like quick connects in here somewhere. You can see one of them, little Anderson connectors. So that's the power. One is tools, and the other one is all pantry, like all the food and cookware and everything like that. I also have while I was talking about communications, I carry a Zoleo. It's one of these things. It's a satellite SMS communicator. It works really well. That's how I communicate with the wife when I'm out there and I have no signal. It's also good for emergencies. I carry a bunch of these. I have a personal locator beacon on the quad, and I have a little tiny go bag in the truck. It has another one of those, so I have 2 PLBs plus the Zoleo. They're all SATCOM. The 2 PLBs are the regular VHF and the 406 megahertz to satellite with GPS. And so on the lumber rack here, we have the tent. This is the Cascadia vehicle tents, or CVT. I got the tent used. It's a little bigger than a king size bed when it folds out. You've seen it in the other videos. So this is the setup, the tent setup. I usually don't use this bottom part, but because all four of us are going, it's kind of nice to have at a trailer park. You get a little privacy or what have you. This is the inside. You can fit some chairs in here. I can fit the kids' chairs into the corner if I need to, and another table here. The two adult chairs with some beverages. And then you still get the screen that comes down, the bug screen. It's also got a door over here if you want to use this side. The bottom of it gets staked to the ground so it doesn't move in the wind. This here is the inside of the tent. I'm kind of just have it packed up at the moment. The light strip that I installed. Got the little switch here. So the light makes a huge difference. Also in here I have USB power with two USB ports. Also tells me what the battery voltage is on the camping batteries. Also in here I have the 110 volts for the space heater or whatever else you want to run. And if you're sleeping 4, you sleep them this way. If you're sleeping 3 or less, you sleep this way. That way you get more. It's 6 feet across, 72 inches or 73. And then it's like 76 the other way. So if you're a taller person, it's best to sleep this way. I'm 6 feet, so I usually like to sleep that way. If you're short, then it doesn't matter. There you have it. I even installed a little light in here. Takes about probably 7 minutes to erect and probably about 15 minutes to stuff back into the bag. And it's not bad, depends how cold it is and how bad the tarp is. You know, this tarp can be pretty stiff when it's cold. And when it's hot, it can be burning hot. So that's it for that. I made it originally to hinge on one side. And the reason for that is because when I had the bigger wheels on the quad, I couldn't drive it in. So the tent actually pivots upwards. It opens up like a hood, and then I was able to drive the quad in there when I'm on it. And there's little latches over here like that hold it in place. But then when I put the OEM tires on the I realized I could just walk the truck up the ramp. I keep the ramps. They're right there. They're foldable ramps. There's that anchor. I carry 2x4s and a 4x4. You know, for recovery stuff. Got some chairs. This is my coffee equipment, burner, lunch tables. Important part right here. This guy is the pooper. It fits on that 5-gallon Home Depot bucket. You know, we're men, we don't need that. But when I got the kids, I need a crapper. So I build a crapper. I also have a tent. This is a pop-up pod. It's one of these porta potty tents. It like pops up real quick. You put it around the bucket, you got your private space. And then the quad, like my main hobby is exploring. So the truck acts as a base camp a lot of times. I know I haven't been riding much, but I need to get this thing off of here. and get it fired up. It's a 2002 Honda Rancher. It has 5,600 miles on it, if you can believe that. That's a lot of miles on an ATV. It's the only thing I ever bought brand new outside of the Tesla that I got with the wife. So I've had it since '02. It's 20 something years old. It's been a good machine. I finally changed the spark plug, just to change the spark plug. And then all the, regular maintenance, a couple of leaky seals here and there, but that's it. But yeah, it's been a good machine. Over here, I got a barbecue. It's all propane. I use propane. On the other side is my helmet. The quad has its own little radio. It's VHF. It also has a modem. You can see that unit underneath the radio is a modem. It's got a GPS unit over here. That setup transmits the location of the quad over VHF. It's called APRS if you're familiar with ham radio. It's all automated. Turn it on and it just sends my location. The quad also has an air compressor and an air tank. So this one has a 1 gallon tank, and the pump is somewhere up in there. And it's got one thing here, and it's got its little gauge, and it's got, like right there, you can see the gauge coming up. And it's nice when you got to reseat a tire back onto the I'm actually going to try to fire this guy up real quick because it hasn't been started for a while. While I'm here, I got this thing looking at my face. This is a refrigerator. It's one of those it can be a fridge or a freezer, but not at the same time. This is like a Chinese aftermarket. I got this on a double discount on Amazon for $235 delivered. Yes, these can be expensive. If you get like the real off-road stuff, the name brand, you could probably pay like $1,500 for those. But this one, cold drinks, cold meats, cold beer, it's pretty nice. It hardly uses any power. I think I run it in econo mode most of the time, and it uses probably about 2.5 amps, 12 volts when it's running. It's very impressive on the low power consumption. And but don't need it right now. I'm just gonna turn it off. Usually just keep it open. It's got a little light in there and one compartment. This compartment here, the little guy, it doesn't get as cold, so that could be for like your fruits and things. And then the big compartment gets cold. It gets colder down towards the bottom. But that's it. Let me see if this guy fires up. It's maybe out of gas too. Maybe it's out of gas. That's funny. I can't see the gauge from here, but the camera can. Tell me what that says. That's not a good sign. Normally that fires up. I smell the gas coming out the back. So ironic I said that. The only thing I ever replaced was the spark plug. And the reason it wasn't starting was because the spark plug was actually loose and it had no ground, so it wasn't sparking. Once I went to take it out, I first pulled the wire off, put a spare plug in, that one sparked. Then I went to put a wrench on the one that's in the head, and it was hand tight. Go figure, just rattled loose. Anyway, this thing needs to do a few rounds, but back to the truck. So you kind of see, this kind of gave me an opportunity to unload it. So now you know how it goes up in there. It fits right underneath there. All this crap has to come out, minus the trash, you know, but I do carry a fire extinguisher. The cooler comes out, you know, my lunch box. This crossbar, which fits up here, it kind of helps the whole lumber rack not to skew. This is where I got to put that rubber or something. This is where a lot of the noise is coming from. And but that's it. That's how it goes in there. Oh, and the quad does have a winch. So it's 2500 Warren, actual name brand winch. On top of the quad, you got some survival equipment, tools, air chuck, just the basics. You know, need to mount a tire or fix something. It's got its original toolkit. Carry about a gallon of gas. I don't remember what this has in it. It's got the first aid kit, a spare GPS. Hey, there's that spare microphone. Look at that. Found the other microphone. Been missing that for a few months. Yeah, it's zip ties, butt wipes. Got a lighter in there, some toothpaste, charger stuff, matches. This one has a compass. This one is got the air hose, a coily air hose. There's the controller for the winch, a notepad, emergency blanket, air chuck. So yeah, I'll probably give that a couple of laps around the yard. That's my helmet. Got a little survival axe right there. I added LED lights to the original. The LED lights are really nice, and that's how it just rolls up in there. And last but not least, I carry a little step ladder, which makes life pretty easy. And this guy right here. My cookware, you've seen my cookware. I carry, my main burner is like a Coleman, runs on unleaded, heats the water pretty quick, starts every time. I can just drain gas out of the quad. My second one is like a Chinese hot pot stove. Also have that. I keep that up in the pantry. I guess now that the ladder's out, I'll show you the pantry. There's a big first aid kit. It's like a full EMT kit with everything in it. I probably don't know how to use some of this stuff, but you know, maybe there's a professional out there that could use it and use it to save somebody's life. That's why I carry it. It says first aid inside. Got some pots and pans. The burner, hey, got some Ritz, sausages. We got some little gray thing. This thing's kind of neat. It's ceramic, like a catalyst, and you put it over the square Chinese hot pot stove and you can make toast on it. It's pretty nice. Comes in really handy. And then cups and dishwashing soap, noodles. Was actually up at the house earlier making Chinese dumplings with the wife. Here's the picture. So button these. And these things are waterproof, so they don't get wet. Stuff in there doesn't get wet when it rains, so it's kind of cool. And then the tent also acts pretty nice as a roof for the quad. That's it. I'm gonna stuff it all, take this guy for a ride. And by the way, this thing's a must when you're camping. It's you ever need to start a fire quick, probably put some air in the tires. Anyway, there you have it. You got a tour of the truck. So one more power thing. Like I said, I use those Anderson connectors. Got these guys. This one powers the fridge. It's a long cord. It's for camping. There's another one. Got a second one here. That one stays plugged into the quad, so the quad's battery stays charged while it's on the back of the truck. But anyway, it's been a fun afternoon, and nice out here. It's in the 60s, mid 60s maybe. Maybe lower 60s, but it's good. Thanks for joining me on the tour, and thanks for watching, and until next time.